this is, in fact, woke madness at its peak. Because they are looking to hire over at Sound Transit a chief diversity officer who will offer a, quote, total dedication to this anti-racist ideology, which is, of course, a radical ideology. And according to a job posting on the Sound Transit website, the salary range is $140,000 to $450,000 with a midpoint of $295. Now, I don't care if you get the 140, the 295, or the 450. All of that is too much. You can tell me they make $37,000. A little bit more than what you make out of 5 years. And I will still say that's too much. You can tell me they're volunteering. And I would say it's inappropriate because you're using up desk space that could be occupied by someone who could actually contribute to Sound Transit. Although in fairness, given how poorly some of their projects are handled, maybe it would be smarter to just get interns to take up space so we don't have to hire anymore. Now, keep in mind that the job listing started to get some attention because it's not a new job listing, but a listener, I think I'm supposed to say an eagle-eyed listener, spotted this particular job description and job posting. Because right now, you've got major companies all across the country saying, yeah, we're done with the DE&I nonsense. We're going to move on. We're abandoning our projects, our quote-unquote commitments. We're terminating the diversity officers. We only really did it because we felt like we needed to because of the Democrats who had control of the culture. But now that Donald Trump's in office, we can stop pretending that we care about this garbage. We can stop pretending that it's not, in fact, just incredibly divisive and, in fact, ironically racist. And yet Sound Transit, which is already notorious for financial mismanagement, for projects that are perpetually delayed, they seem eager to jump on the DE&I bandwagon. And all of us, we hurt as a result. We don't benefit from this. Sound Transit has a well-documented history of budget overruns and delayed projects. You'll recall in Federal Way, the operations and maintenance facility. That has ballooned, that project, by approximately $592 million. From that to $1.06 billion over the initial projections. You can look at the system's expansion that was announced back in 2017. What was that? Sound Transit 2? Billions, tens of billions of dollars in added expenses because they don't get anything done on time. And let's probably skip diving into the whole expansion to Bellevue and into Redmond across I-90 and how they did some work that they then had to undo because they did it wrong. Let's not even get into that.
You're supposed to come to Issaquah one day. I'll be dead.
One day. Not only will you be dead, any family member who even remembers who you are will be dead. You can have 20 kids and they can have 20 grandkids, and they will all be dead before Issaquah gets light rail, just so we're on the same page. Pass that down generation to generation. Oh, we were once promised light rail to the great city of Issaquah, but it never came.
They'll be like, what's light rail?
What is this light rail thing you're talking about? Why would we do that when we can now just teleport? All we have to do is press a button. Now, despite all of the issues that are impacting Sound Transit, what are they prioritizing? Paying a chief diversity officer. Now, let's go through the job description because it has a lot of the woke jargon that doesn't really mean anything. It's the equivalent of like when some consultant comes together and they're doing training and they come up with all these new terms that just, they sound really important, but they don't really mean anything, or they mean something basic like talk to one another. Synergistic communication strategies. You mean just talk to each other? Yeah. Oh, okay. They need to, quote, embed equity and inclusion while driving transformative change. There's a lot of marketing, progressive woke lingo, huh? The translation is that they're just looking for someone to implement policies that are going to focus on social engineering their staff so that they can be a better representative of the general public, because they need to be able to see a sound transit agency that looks like them. Otherwise, why might one want to even become a sound transit agency employee if they can't see themselves in an incompetent project manager? What about inspiring all the other young people who are going to grow up to be incompetent buffoons? Where will they want to work? We need to be able to get them to come to Sound Transit. That's what we need. This diversity officer is tasked with, quote, being a dynamic change agent to foster a positive, inclusive work environment. Dare I say, if you're a change agent in the DE&I world, you're not creating an inclusive work environment. Not at all. And I can tell you this, you're not fostering anything that's positive. Not as a DE&I dynamic change agent. What does that even mean in this context? A change agent, meaning if there's anyone left working for Sound Transit who's somewhat reasonable, who isn't like a lunatic lefty, we're going to make sure that you convert or just leave. They have to have, I like this one, they have to have expertise, not just in DE&I, but civil rights. So they're looking for someone who's an expert when it comes to civil rights. Again, what does that mean? Knowing the history, or are they expecting like some attorney, a civil rights attorney? Al Sharpton, I mean, who knows how long he's going to have his gig over at MSNBC. Well, he threatens to boycott if he gets fired, so he's probably going to stay there for a while. They have to have, quote, strong sensitivity and understanding of various forms of systemic inequities and the multifaceted ways discrimination can occur. Total dedication to the objectives of anti-racism, diversity, equity, and inclusion, and civil rights, implementing these principles throughout the organization. They should have also said, you have to be an insufferable progressive activist. Then you'd be perfect for this job. And yet, oddly enough, you look around, including just at some of the local companies, and they're ditching DE&I. Amazon is ditching DE&I programs. Meta, McDonald's, Walmart, Ford. How many others have announced over the course of the last few weeks that they're done because they understand it didn't do anything? It didn't actually bring people together. It didn't help their business, but we're supposed to pretend that it's going to help Sound Transit. Instead of addressing the chronic inefficiencies over at this agency, instead of addressing the fact that they can't ever budget correctly, they divert resources to a chief diversity officer that won't improve transit services for you or for me. Because you know what $450,000 could be better spent by Sound Transit on? Oh, I don't know. Hiring more staff to handle the onboard homeless fentanyl addicts. Maybe put some money into truly deep cleaning those trains, because, my gosh, they smell like a homeless encampment that hasn't been cleaned in, well, let's just say it went through the summer and it was a particularly dry summer. That's what they smell like.
That's kind of what they are. So
it really has become that. It's insane. It's absolute insanity that at a time when even the federal government is reevaluating and dismantling these DE&I programs, Sound Transit is all like, let's lean into what really matters. Woke anti-racism. Yeah. Because did you know that Sound Transit projects, when they lose funding, it disproportionately impacts communities of color? And did you know they don't have a single two-spirit employee, and they need to change that? They need a non-binary two-spirit transgender mother, or excuse me, birthing human, no, I can't say human because I'm a man, birthing entity who also has a 7-year-old trans kid. If we don't have that, can we truly say that we're diverse? Can we truly say we represent the people of the area?
That was Dr. King's vision.
I think it was. Wasn't it one of his speeches? It might have got cut out, but if you look...
One of the lesser-known ones.
Yeah, well, if you get the B-Sides album, you can get that speech. If you want to read more about this and help me spread word, it's important for us to spread the word. go to KTTH.com or just text the keyword rants, RANTZ, to 1-800-465-8770, and I'll send you a link directly to the blog.